When we just did adventure tours, I got a lot of bright-eyed questions about spirits, ancestors, feeling the power of the earth and such. I'm Wabanaki Confederacy. I must be into that stuff, right? I never thought of it as a mystical thing, a tribal thing, to treat the land with respect. We learned from our elders. You can't find much older out here than the land. That's the starry-eyed version. The one down here in the grit is that the land will kill you and keep on going like a logging truck. So you respect it and try to find peace with that idea. Understand that it's so much bigger than all of us and has its own big plan. Yes, this world has slipped out of balance. And yes, we have words for that with a whole bunch of vowel sounds. But you and I have been walking on a giant all these years. It just shrugged its shoulders. Before the storm, Paul and I were talking expansion. I'd talk, he'd agree. On the mainland, maybe up in the Appalachians. Been tracking sightings of unidentified creatures there since we got started. You cross off half of them as overactive imagination, and we're still talking dozens. We could move up from 1 hunt a month to 2 a week. Damn, but those New Yorkers can't get enough trophies. Decorating their boardrooms or something. Sightings were on the up and up here too. Not just the Sasquatch and the Wendigo. There's something out there. Different to the rest. I hear its call some nights. It's a wrong sound. Not an animal call, but something that's making a noise like it thinks an animal should. Doesn't even carry on the air right. If it's marking out its territory, that's the best of a bad situation. Means it's not coming down here. If there's still a tribe here, I'd call it a dysfunctional one. I mostly keep out of Wabanaki business. They can't get along with each other, let alone cope in the real world. And half the townies still lock up their mouthwash when they see one of us coming. Then there's the matter of our sacred land. Sometimes they can't trip over themselves fast enough to sell it off by the yard. Others, they dig in their heels even when psychoil suits are here sweating money. Me, I think they like the fantasy that there's good soil to protect and sour soil to make the evil eye at. It doesn't work that way. People gave Blue Ridge a bad name, not ancient curses. No one disturbed the burial grounds, and yet there they are, up and walking anyway. It can take days for these boys to agree on the communal food order. If they were the defenders of this island, I'd feel bad for the island.
Friend, I haven't got time to be shook up. Not when my wife and I are the only ones in the park who can shoot a can off a fence at 10 foot. I'm not even kidding. We held tryouts. Sure thing this is wicked strange, but it's just a real bad day in our new normality. A different kind of survivalism. Back in the day, I said to old Joe, I think I've seen something from the stories out there. He says, yup. I tell him, I thought they were just stories. And he gives me one of those looks from over his glasses. If I told you a story about land across the ocean from the island, would you believe that? I say, sure I would. I've seen it. Oh, he likes that. Gets his big old grin on. He says, well, Paul, now you've seen the Wendigo, too. Well, we never really had any trouble with your type on the hunts. Maybe some get a little too keen about waving their fancy swords around instead of a good rifle. I'd tell them, these creatures can take a high-caliber bullet on the skull like you'd slugged a rock at them. So are you positive you want to get up close? There was one guy, though, wanted to blood himself from a Wendigo. That's what he said, and I looked at Annika thinking, this is not going to fly. She told him, no way, no how. Maybe he didn't know the legends like we did, but you don't want to be getting Wendigo in you. He kicked off over that, so we wheeled the truck around, took him back to the airport so fast he hardly had time to pack his little photocopied pamphlets. Like you see on television, what are they called, the morning light? Guess those Moonies are soft in the head after all. I'm not much of a deep thinker. Working in the outdoors, it pays to be more concerned with what's happening than the why. But when the world went all to hell, Sure, I had to do some considering. Perhaps the reason we ran across those beasts when we did was a sign. It seems animals are the first to know when there's a big change coming. And perhaps I should have known it then. I just sensed it. Like at the end of fall when you know a hard freeze is coming on overnight. And there's always been stories. Not just old Joe's, the townies bring their own too. And there's a Kingsmouth explanation for all the good and bad in the world. Mostly the bad. Hell, I've told college kids a horror story or two about the old trapper cabin to keep them out of it. When the fog rolls back, what if this is the way the world's going to be from now on? These things just don't stop coming.
Everyone needs a break from the killing. There's no sports in it. And there's no end to it. We had a good little business going here, me and Paul. We were doing all right. But I guess when you bleed the land eventually bleeds you back.
That wave tin is some bullshit. It started a couple years back. Whitetail season had taken a dip. Hard to make ends meet. Then I picked up the trail of something else out there. Stranger game. Older game.
It came like some weird providence.
All the old stories come to life. It didn't cross my mind anyone would pay to bag themselves a Wendigo or Sasquatch, but I'm not the brains of this outfit. Turns out a lot of folks would, when you ask in the right places. Folks from out of state.
Business is a bit slow, so if you're staying around, it's open season on whatever's got no right to walk or crawl here.
Yeah, just don't get bit by anything. I hate to have to put you down. You got a quarter, Annie?
My turn, isn't it?
If you're going out to the coast, I'll give you some advice on the house.
Better listen up. My man here is not usually in the business of parting with anything for free.
She makes sure I get paid by the hour. Anyway, you'll want to be prepared. They're a territorial bunch, the Pale Men, and they rile up in packs. You've got to use the land to your advantage. Get in the hunt and turn their pack mentality against them, same as you would with any other beast. Even though they're sure not the same as any other beast.
I swear it's as if they can hear what's going on inside your head.
So I'm pretty safe around them. I made it through to the surf once and caught sight of something in the fog. If it wants to stay there, that suits me just fine. It was big.
Bigger than that Sasquatch last July?
Oh, hell yeah. He was 600 pounds, but mad with old age. Knew his time had come, and that's the way of things. But that creature out there doesn't play by any rules of nature. Birth, the middle of it, death. That thing has passed beyond death.
And way beyond our league.
how are you? Call me Old Joe. That's what everybody here calls me. On account of young Joe. I'm his brother. Did you know? Also, I'm loath to admit, because I'm a very old man. Nicknames know no mercy. These days, I guess you could call me a story keeper. I don't tell them anymore. Nobody wants to listen to an old man telling even older stories. The only thing that matters to the young ones is the present. And those who have been here a while, they prefer to look to the future, not to the past. So, I keep the stories, but I don't tell them anymore. Not unless someone comes and asks, or if they're outsiders and don't know not to encourage me. It's a sad thing when families can't settle their differences, and 40 years is a long time. That's how long we've been half a tribe. Even here, we're divided. Those of us who chose to stay in the camp, we've got our schemes and our plans. Frank and Joe with their schemes. A casino. Might as well be wearing headdresses and charging tourists for pictures, and Paul and Annika bringing big city folk out there into the forest to hunt exotic prey. They all believe the land belongs to us, that she's ours to exploit, like it's our birthright to take advantage of the land, like she owes us anything. I'm not saying we're the only ones at fault. Red, now there's a man some would call pig-headed, and they wouldn't be wrong. So, he's a man of principles. And I can't say I'd have done differently if I were in his shoes, but he played his part in this. He was never one to forgive. But we all had to make tough choices. He made his, and I made mine. And who's to say what was right and wrong back then? At least we know the reason why we didn't talk. We feel it. It's harder for the young ones, those who weren't here back then, like Ami and Kyra. They must all think we're old and stubborn, and we're less of a family for it. That saddens me more than anything. We go a long way back, our tribe in this land. For more than 1,000 years, these hills and forests are all we've known. We haven't left the island because we couldn't. If all of us left, there would be no one to guard it. The hills harbor a dark secret, but it was always our secret, and we were sworn to protect it, keep it, and shield the rest of the world from it. But the hills are treacherous. They whisper to the weak, draw them in. And the weak have dug too deep. The secret within is coming out. We are the people of the dawn, but the sun is setting. I fear for all that is good in this world. What saved us from the fog, saved our people from being turned into soulless things, was the very thing we'd neglected so long. Tradition, rituals, magic. What saved us was what our forefathers did to protect the whole island. And it took all this to make us see what we'd forgotten. We lost nobody, at least in the tribe. Of course, we lost everyone else, And it's not like we were isolated from the rest of the island. Those people were our friends and neighbors. And many here lost people. Good people they cared about and loved. I know Amy still hopes that her husband is alive out there. But he's probably dead. Let's hope he's dead. The alternative, it's much worse. I don't know if those things that came back from the sea have memories or feelings. I hope they're just empty shells used by the Grey Men to serve their needs, to spread their filth. If there is any humanity left in them, well, that's a new kind of hell that I don't even want to think about. Why others survived the fog, I couldn't tell you. Could be there's a purpose to it, could be just luck. But us, our tribe, we were protected. And that's not something we can ignore. We have a purpose now. We have a mission. I hear the serpent. He whispers. Don't listen to him. All lies. They bring darkness. The mountains are crumbling. The forests burning. The earth trembles. They are coming. Huh? Oh. Pardon me, I've been dozing off at all hours of the day. Good sleep hard to find. For both the living and the dead. When we sleep, we dream. And when we dream, we speak with our ancestors. Our spirits connect with the spirits of those who came before us. But this leaves us vulnerable. Ever since they began working the quarry again, there have been nightmares. Someone or something has entered our dreams and causes us great unrest. There was a time when the webs of the dream catchers would hang outside every home. The webs would catch the dark dreams that can poison us in our sleep. They would protect us when we were at our most vulnerable. But our tribe has forgotten the ways of old. We no longer heed the warnings of those who came before. We no longer honor them. Our ancestors' dreams are being poisoned by the serpent that sleeps beneath the hills, and they in turn have brought those nightmares into our world. Their spirits are fearful, exiled from their sanctuary in the afterlife. They are doing the bidding of dark whispers, and they can no longer protect us when we slip into the dreaming, or when we're awake. We must help them. We must catch their dreams so that we can all sleep soundly again.
Quick access inventory updated.
static. Just static. All day. No soaps, no sitcoms, not even a goddamn infomercial for spray-on hair. This is no way for an old man to live out his golden years. I heard you gave respite to some of our restless spirits. Did you bring me their dreams? Their dreams are tainted, tormented. Our ancestors are being fed lies and denied rest. They are led astray, brought into our world to fight for the very thing they swore to oppose, and they don't know it. The serpent that sleeps and dreams beneath the mountain is waking up. This is much, much worse than I feared. We must go to them, to the afterlife. The filth has infected their land, and though we can free those of our ancestors who have crossed over into our world, it will not end before the filth is removed from theirs. There is a dangerous ritual that can guide the living into the world of the dead. It requires preparation and courage, and those who make the journey are not certain to return. But it is the only way to stop this cycle before it is too late. Well, what are you waiting for? We're none of us getting any younger. Hello there. Welcome to our camp. Everything is ready. We can begin. I'm afraid you're going to have to inhale. Good. You're ready. Don't look at me. I don't know what's supposed to happen. Did you think you'd be whisked away to the afterlife through the magic of smoke? You've read too many comic books. Time runs short. Go. Find what you need to fight this evil, to free our ancestors, and to protect our dreams from the filth. I'll keep an eye on the TV. I'm sure there'll be something good on, sooner or later.
Temporary abilities acquired. Additional assignment received. Initializing. Quick access inventory updated. Quick access inventory updated.
Are you infected?
Quick access inventory updated. Quick access inventory updated.
Nice to finally have some visitors.
behind this very expensive official government suit, I'm just a normal gal. Hopes, dreams, ambitions, faith in my superiors and my government. I had that before the fog, before I saw the filth, before I realized why they sent us here in the first place. All lies. Big, fat, stinky lies. You'd think a government employee... a government employee would be trusted with the truth. But no. I guess it doesn't matter that you've dedicated your life to public service, that you risk your health and sanity in service of your nation. I have served. I have sacrificed. I have given so much, and all I wanted in return is to be trusted. Turns out our government is more likely to share their secrets with the private sector, with the Irachi group, than their own. What the hell does that say about our leaders? About our nation? About the future? I'll tell you this. I don't trust Irachi further than I can see through my visor. And with the amount of condensation and dirt buildup I'm dealing with, that's not far. Not far at all. My team and I... Well, not my team per se, more like Ernesto's team. Frank was his second in command. He's such a sycophant. Was a sycophant. I held up the rear, so to speak. Not the flashiest role, but an important member of our 3-man and a woman team. Anyway, my team was sent here to work with the Irachi to investigate the filth. A couple of days later, the fog rolls in. This massive wall moving faster than storm clouds. Thank God we had our suits. Made us immune to the airborne agents. Ernesto, the idiot, bless his soul, took his mask off. His eyes just glazed over. His tongue flopped out and he started walking. We couldn't stop him. He just kept walking right down to the ocean. Into the water. Under the water. Next day, he came back up. It wasn't pretty. But at least we'd survive the worst. Help would come. It was just a question of time. We were government employees. Leave no man behind, right? One touch. That's all it took. It seeped right through. The guys tried to fight it, but it took just seconds before they were tainted, transformed. I ran as fast as I could, as far as I could. It's spreading. I've seen it on trees, on vegetation, on animals. There was this raccoon the other day. It had glowing eyes, worms protruding from its ears, black ooze leaking through the fur. It left wet paw prints on the ground, and right away the grass and ground were infected. Strangest thing of all, it was like I could see straight through it, and I could see stars. Dying stars. I know, it doesn't make sense. Oh, I need some sleep. It's not easy in this suit, but I am never taking it off. I really believe you guys are our only hope. We have a name for you. Did you know that? Back at the CDC. The Bees. That's what we call you. Don't know why. And we keep records. There's a whole floor related to the Bees. I don't know what's there. I don't have clearance, but I can see now why we'd need a whole floor. If I ever get back home, that's what I want to work on. I want to pick you guys apart. Not literally, of course. I'm not talking autopsies or anything like that. And anyway, do you guys even die? I hear you're even immune to that. Boy, I'd love to be a bee right now and buzz away.